Alrighty, I'm not going to do much of an intro on this one. I just finished up installing a new head unit in the 92 Previa. And as you can see here, ooh, it's hot, I'm sitting. This is the old tape deck with the AM FM, no CD player option in this car. It was working fine. It was just, old, and the LCD was going out like they normally do. Here was the factory pocket that was underneath of it that when I bought the car, someone had, as far as I can tell, had something sticky like a sucker or something melt in there. So I now have this really nice touchscreen head unit in here. But the crazy thing about this head unit is it only cost $50. That was it. It was quite a gamble. So this model is purchased off Amazon. This is the model off the box. It's the X0023LO-ST9. And you can see this is definitely a Chinese deal. And this is the box that it comes in. Obviously everything is already installed, but what I was shocked that it came with was a lot more stuff than I've probably ever had with any other stereo I've installed. You gotta love these Chinese things that don't really translate in English very well. Dear valued customer, would be satisfied with our product and service. Yours satisfied. Yeah. So oddly enough, this thing came with, I'm probably going to keep this thing. It is a dash pry tool for, getting up underneath of stuff and being able to pop clips off and stuff like that. I didn't end up using it on this one, but I've never actually had this included with a head unit. Other stuff that it came with, again, for $50. Here is the bezel, which I didn't end up needing. It actually, in my unit, this is a 7-inch screen, and it actually, I had to modify the bracket a little bit, but it fits perfectly snug within the original body here and has plenty of room for the buttons to move around. No clearance issues. The USB still plugs in. You just got to move this little thing out of the way quite a bit, but I don't need that. It also comes with, again, for $50, a rear view camera and all the wiring to hook it up. And I did not do that today. You can see there it is. Very basic. It does have some sort of, I'm guessing, LEDs for reverse lights or something like that. I did not hook it up today just because this is a van and I have a lot of wiring I would have to run in this thing to get it to the back. And I'll do that another day, but I'll keep it for now. Came with, of course, the wiring harness. It came with a remote, which I didn't even know people use anymore, but I guess I'll throw this in the car somewhere. I'll put it in there. And this is trash. It came with this. This is something that's totally Japanese or Chinese, wherever this thing comes from. This is it's kind of like a TV remote. You can see it's got the little scanner, whatever it's called, the sensor thing down here, the little light that blinks and reads this. And yeah, this works for this head unit. So the key features of this does not have a CD player to it, but honestly, when's the last time I ever listened to a CD? It's basically just Bluetooth, AM, FM, and then it does Android MirrorLink. So that's really the kind of nice thing about it, is the MirrorLink. That was actually the reason why I picked this one out, because I wanted to have a full Android tablet, so I could actually pair up stuff on my phone and run apps on it, run internet, do Google Maps, things like that. And this does have the capability, you can run video in, so if you don't want to use the rear view camera, or maybe you can use both, but you can hook up like a DVD player to it. So if you had something you wanted to hook to it, you could. I don't have any of that kind of stuff, so I didn't do it. But it does have a GPS plug-in for it, which I don't know how that would work with this, but it definitely has that. I'd have to figure out how that works. But let's just go ahead and power it on here. So the way to do a custom welcome thing, it's on the instructions, which, by the way, I'll give this thing a shout out. It actually had a really good owner's manual. It's full color, which I'll give it credit for. I'm probably going to keep this with the car for a little bit. What I really liked is it gives a really good button layout, which is pretty normal. It's got your nice color-coded wiring diagram, which was impressive, and where things go in the back, which is pretty common sense stuff. Talks about the added in accessories. You can see the wiring harness, the dash kit. They actually had brackets that came with it, which I ended up using. Here's the factory Toyota Previa brackets, which in the past I've always had to use, but I was able to use the brackets that were included, so I could actually fit this in flush instead of it having like an angle or something like that. I did have to modify the bracket so I could have better alignment on the screws on the sides of it here, but I was still pretty impressed with that. But it even has instructions on the MirrorLink, so it tells you how to go through the Android settings, which I have to get this set up. Literally full color with pretty decent instructions on where to go in the menu, so if you're not comfortable doing it, it'll walk you through it. It even has iPhone stuff, which is pretty cool. I haven't tried that out, but I'd be curious to see how that works. I've got some, I think I've got an older iPad or iPhone I'd like to use. I mean, I was actually really impressed. It's got a pretty decent overview of the settings, which, you know, gave me a quick way to look at things. But again, pretty handy. So again, very basic. You've got your FM radio, which I've already kind of set up. I'll turn it down some so we don't have stuff playing. But you can see we've got like all of our presets in here. It's got equalizer. The touchscreen is pretty decent. I mean, it's obviously not as good as like a phone or a tablet would be. This is probably is one downside, is maybe the touchscreen isn't super responsive, but it definitely does everything right. So you can see if you were to have, I don't have an SD card slot, but if you wanted to load music in there, you could. Same thing with the file explorer. So I'm thinking if you wanted to have like pictures, you know, or something like that, or videos, movies, something like that on your SD card, you could put that in there. Same thing with the photos and the movies. I'm guessing that's what that is. So this actually has some sort of like a processor. You can see the Bluetooth settings. It does have a mic up here in the corner. Wow, it's crazy. It's playing Bluetooth music while I'm taking a video with my phone. I did not know it could happen that way. But it's got all your call settings, so you can take phone calls on it. I'm used to having ones where there's like a little mic included, which I don't know where this actually runs to. I figured this was something that was going to be behind it. I didn't see that, but it actually just uses the mic here. Yeah, there's the infrared receiver for the remote here. But you can go into your Bluetooth music and actually see kind of what's going on here. Pretty impressed by how simple this works. I went ahead and loaded, you can load your contacts into here. You can load like your recent calls. So you can basically make phone calls right from here. You can see downloads my recent calls. So I can call these phone numbers. You can see there's a shop. Back to this. So here's a really cool thing, and I'll hope that this works. So other things that this does, that's your video in, which I don't have anything set up for, as you can see. So we don't have to worry about that. Settings, it's got some pretty neat stuff in here, nothing too crazy. You can set steering wheel controls, languages, you can go in and set. You can change the color of this backlight here on the power button. So if you're into that kind of like RGB lifestyle, you can do that. You can adjust the display, so if you're not happy with the contrast or the color or something, you can do that. This thing's not super bright, so I'll be curious to see how it is in the daytime. It does have some brightness settings here. You can see with this button, it does a little bit, and it'll actually turn off. And then it turns back on if you just touch the screen, so that's kind of cool. All right, now the really cool thing, the kind of X factor about this is this phone link, and I'm gonna hope that this works. Let me actually stop the video real quick. Alrighty, so here is my favorite feature of this thing. It's the MirrorLink that it has. So I did have to play with it to actually get it to work with while I'm trying to take video here. But if you can kind of tell what's going on right now, it is plugged up with my USB-C cable. Apparently this works with the Android devices as well, or I'm sorry, with iPhones as well. But basically anything that's going on the screen here is showing what's going on my phone, and I can actually interact with it. So just like I'm recording the video right now, if I was to want to adjust the brightness or the focus, just like you would on your phone, I can do that on the screen of this thing, which is pretty awesome. So what's handy about that is it can be a little gimmicky, because literally you have to keep your screen open on your phone for it to really work as intended. But what's nice is, let's just say you want to plug up your phone and set it up on the dashboard. You can do that, and maybe have Google Maps up, or maybe have YouTube up, or anything you'd want to have, and basically be playing it here on the screen. I like it for the Google Maps option, because honestly, we all use our phones for Google Maps anyway, and I probably could have spent $300 to get an Android one, a really nice one that had, you know, Android CarPlay or something like that. But to be able to just plug my phone up to it, which is going to charge it, which is what I'd want to do anyway, set the phone aside, which is going to keep me from probably using it as much, and still get the same exact output on the screen here is awesome. Now, if I were to turn my phone to vertical instead of horizontal, it changes that here as well. I don't think it'll do it with the video, because obviously we're in video mode. But if I was to have this on the regular screen mode, which I'd have to have another full camera for and all that, I'm not going to do. But you can literally swipe through your apps. You can open up your app drawer. You can turn Wi-Fi on and off. You know, you can go through. Technically, you could probably type on here, like if you wanted to text someone back, which I think would be a little weird. I actually do use the microphone stuff a lot, so it might be kind of interesting to, you know, maybe use the little button here for the Android and just kind of hold down and have Google Assistant. That might be kind of interesting as well. But that's probably the really cool thing. And again, this is $50, and that was with Amazon Prime. So free shipping, it came in 2 days, and it came with all this stuff. So overall, I'm extremely happy with this. I think it puts out about 200 watts or something like that. But on the front of it, it's got pretty basic settings here. So like if I unplug this, you can see it goes back to the regular stuff here. You know, you've got all of your regular controls up front, so you don't even have to have the screen on if you don't want to. You know, you can skip your songs and everything here. And then this is definitely gimmicky, but this thing you have to do some playing with to get it to work. And again, it works like a remote control, and it's a little retarded. It's not quite simple, but the idea that it just kind of velcros on here with this mount is actually kind of cool. But and of course I don't have my flashlight on now, but you can volume up or down, skip songs from your steering wheel, just like, you know, if I was driving down the road. I had it in a different setting here. I had it down here lower where like the cruise control would be, where your normal controls would go. And this little sensor right here just wasn't picking up here, so it was a little wonky. Like if I just move the steering wheel down here, it doesn't really work. You can see I'm pushing the volume up and it doesn't do it. But if I put the steering wheel straight and do volume up, of course it still doesn't work. I don't know if I'm going to keep this thing. Let's see here. I might have to play with this. I don't know. And of course now it's not working. Yeah, this thing's a little gimmicky. But it is supposed to support some sort of a way where if you wire it up correctly, you can actually, they have extra wires at the back of it, where if you run signals from your newer car stereo that has the volume knobs and the call answer button, you can actually wire that to this, do some stuff on it, and apparently it will learn the buttons. And I think you're supposed to be able to answer phone calls and do stuff like that from your steering wheel. So yeah, $50. Again, I haven't really had this thing in here for more than just an hour or so, but I'm really impressed with how well this thing works. I would highly recommend it if you're wanting to upgrade your stereo on a budget. I would definitely look at this thing. I'm not really going to miss having a CD drive, because I just haven't made any new CDs or listened to any CDs in a long time. But yeah, tell me what you think. Yeah, bye.